Boop, ba-doop, ba-doop, ba-doop. Alrighty. What's going on, peeps? Just wait for a little bit. A few more minutes here, a couple more minutes. We'll get started because there's a few things we got to cover. We definitely want to talk about what's going on in both Iraq and what's going on with the silver market. Okay, I know we spoke about these things before, but I want to make sure that people don't start getting into a panic mode. Of course. Shelly, Michael, I see you. Gail, Jody, Shelby, how y'all doing? Antonio. How do you wire money to your Gemini account? I don't know about that. The way your account should be set up, you should have it set up to automatically withdraw if you're going to buy cryptos. Wisconsin. Every time I hear that Wisconsin, it always makes me think of the 70s show. Remember that? Love you guys right back. Right? So last night I was talking about Iraq, and I said there are some things that I'm aware of. So part of this stuff is news that I've already shared before, but want to bring up again. And then the other part of it is going to be some serious speculation on what could be possibly going on. So I want to wait just a few more minutes so people can get in here. Greetings, one and all. Yeah, I got people reach. That's funny because all the trolls, the people who are cryptocurrency fans are like, oh, Bitcoin's going up. I'm like, oh, God. You guys, seriously, we talk about this all the time. We're going to cover it. All right. We are going to get started about 1 more minute. A lot of people scattered everywhere, man. I got people from everywhere. That's the great thing about having the YouTube channel. My subscribers love you guys to death, but you are literally everywhere. New Zealand, Ireland, Australia, Mexico, Canada, Puerto Rico. I was like, good Lordy. What am I drinking? Actually, I just poured a little wine in my cup, and yeah, I like ice with my wine, believe it or not. So there's a few things going on. And I want to make sure, and I'll keep reminding you guys, so it might sound like a broken record, but it's important that you guys remember this, okay? All right. Let's do this, you guys. I'm going to start sharing my screen here. Let's go over what's going on in the silver market. All right, so that you guys, we talked about this already. I told you, don't be surprised if you start to see this happen. See this, gold dropping down, silver dropping down. I told you this was going to happen. The reason for this is... Okay, so if you guys remember what happened to the GameStop stock, remember that? So what happened was they sold shorts on the stock. This group of investors came in and said, no, you don't. So they knew the hedge fund people were doing some real shiesty illegal things. We know that they shorted somehow magically 140% of the available stock. How the hell do you short 140% of the stock? See the criminality there? Well, the group of investors was educated. They got together and decided to use the crimes that these people were committing against them and benefit from it. So the GameStop people were not breaking any crimes or were not breaking any laws. The other people were. And of course, what do we see happen? Now the Senate's going after the people who didn't commit crimes and not saying anything about the people who sold 140% of the shorts and stocks. Okay, so having said that, what do we see happen when that happens? Somebody made a phone call magically. The administration got involved, which is illegal. They reached out to these platforms and said, stop selling the stock. See the power of a hedge fund? So what they did is, since they stopped these individuals from buying stock, it caused the price to stop, and in some cases go down. You were allowed to sell your stock, but you couldn't buy any. Then when the platforms reopened it to people, you were only allowed to buy one stock at a time. That is unbelievable interference in the stock market. It's illegal as hell, but they did it. Okay? Now, the reason why I bring that up as an example is because the strategy that they used was to target individuals who were shorting the value of the game stock, along with a couple of other things. For those of you who don't know what shorting is, they are betting that the stock is going to lose value. These people came along and drove the stock up. Since it didn't lose value, they were losing a ton of money. 70 billion is what they lost. So by interfering in the market, what our government did is it allowed these people who were getting their ass kicked and lost 70 billion an opportunity to now recover the money that they were losing because the value of the stock was dropping. There's still a little tug of war going on over there, but even so, the administration should not be interfering, and they did. Having said that, let's bring this where we are with silver. We know we all went, most of us went all in on this silver squeeze. I told you the silver squeeze, silver is a commodity. It's not like stock, not like fiat, paper money. That's what stock is. Commodities are different. The response time is a little bit different. Although at the immediate effect, when we started clearing off all of the available silver that were on the retail websites, it worked pretty quick. As a matter of fact, we started depleting the sites right away. And over the weekend, a lot of these sites had to close down because they ran into what's called naked negatives. In other words, they were selling more product than they had available. That's a good thing for us, right? I said, keep going. That's what we did. We're still this day, it's going. We keep removing as much physical silver off the market as possible. And I said, watch. If we keep doing this, those people who have contracts on the comics, what was going to happen, we might be able to scare them enough where they start going, yeah, you know, I'm not trusting that my silver will be available within the next 90 days. You would then see them start taking physical possession of these silvers. And that's exactly what we're seeing happen. Now we're seeing metals everywhere. There's a shortage. These mints are all closing down, making excuses. They're like, this is a conspiracy. We have the silver. And then meanwhile, they're sending emails out to people going, oh, we don't have the silver. Perth had to send some of the silver over to the comics to help these banks cover the shorts. Yeah, that's how bad it is. So if somebody shorts the value of something, that means the value has to go down. What was happening when we started shorting the silver? We saw it jump up from like $24 to $29 or so an ounce. It was a pretty good jump, and it happened fairly quickly, surprisingly. But since then, what have we seen happen? While they were manipulating the markets like they always do, you can see right now silver's at $23.85, and then every day it keeps lowering. So people are like, what's going on, Pimpy? Well, let me ask you this question. Why do you suppose the amount of silver that's available is short? In some cases, you can't even get it. But meanwhile, the value of silver is dropping. Does that make any sense at all? Of course not. Think supply and demand. So why is the value of gold and silver dropping? Just like the game stop stock, say that 10 times real quick after you've been drinking. What they did is they started interfering in the market and then allowing these hedge funds people to cover their asses. They lost billions until the government interfered. What's happening now is the bullion banks, these JP Morgans, these, Goldman Sachs people, they're in there manipulating the market. I told you how they were doing it. They found a new way, and they always find new tricks. They are triggering the people who are setting up their programs on stop losses. They're flooding the market with paper silver, not real, causing what appears to be the value of the silver to go down. By doing that, those banks that were short, that bet on the short market that the value of silver would drop, just like the game stock, this is allowing them to recoup. They're recovering their losses. We shouldn't be surprised with this type of BS. But one good thing out of this that we see, the fact that they're trying to cover their losses most likely means we're not going to see them short the market anymore. And why is that good? What do you think is going to happen? With nobody shorting the market and manipulating it, it's going to allow the market, it should, to start reflecting its true value. They're going to go up. So we are watching the comics. We are watching what these people are doing with their contracts. We saw a record amount of silver being delivered from the comics like we've never seen before. So hang tight, you guys. People out there, the squeeze are working. Yes, yes, it is. I told you before we even went into the silver squeeze, what? 1 billion ounces are needed every year to cover the global demand. They have been deficit for the past 3 years and manipulating the markets and severely shorting it to hold the values down so the elite can grab as much of it as possible. The problem is when those peons are out there grabbing up all the silver, it starts affecting the commercial side of things. It's affecting the wholesale side of things. These people start panicking. They're like, holy crap. Yeah. So now they're trying to cover their asses right now, you guys. So just hang tight. Let's keep doing what we're doing. Money Metals has some supplies, although I'm watching different websites. Little by little, you're going to see the supply go down. Mints around the world, Perth, London, the United States, Mexico, are all shutting down for a month, maybe 2 months, God knows. They're making excuses why they're shutting down. They don't have the silver, you guys. This is phenomenal. This is great for us. You see, if they want the silver, well, really what I think they're doing is by closing down these mints, they're not going to be able to keep up with any demand because who's minting the coins? You see, our Constitution in the United States says that our government is obligated, yes, obligated to keep up with the demand of silver. What they should have done is they might be going, we don't have the silver. Well, here, if I may be so bold, government, let me make a recommendation. JP Morgan has been screwing people over for decades. They have been manipulating the markets forever and a day. Meanwhile, they hold the most silver in the world. Why don't you try, I don't know, since they've committed so many crimes, force them to part with the bulk of their silver so that our mints could use that to keep up with the demand that the public has, keeping you from violating our constitutional rights. It's just a suggestion. Rumor was that JP Morgan was going to come out and try to slam the market by flooding it with about 100 million ounces. Now, I don't know where that rumor came from. I cannot find it anywhere. But let's just say hypothetically they try that crap. Do you know how quick people would wipe out that 100 million? They really would. You would see people trying to buy it up as much as possible. We see the bigger picture. I am so proud of a lot of my subscribers are learning. Even amateurs know we don't care about what the price shows us. I know some of you still are a little edgy because you're still new to this. Hang on to your silver. What we're doing is being effective. I know the market don't reflect it, but it's being manipulated. And this is not the true value of silver. That is the paper market value. Meanwhile, what we're seeing is other distractions to keep you from physical precious metals. And again, we're watching the pumping of cryptocurrencies all over again. What do we see happening here? They're starting to get near their 52-week highs again, a little bit on the top, the main ones. I mean, look, geez, Manish, look at XRPs at 55 cents. XLM's almost back up to 40 cents. 1,800 for my favorite, Ethereum. And of course, the granddaddy of them all, Bitcoin, heading very closely to $59,000. I said this as many times. You guys can't tell me why these things are at this value. I can, in my opinion, vouch for Ethereum because the more I read about Ethereum, the more I realize that there is some value to their tokens. Now, I understand that these other tokens do have utility uses. That's fine and dandy. And most of them are probably around what their actual value is. But every time I go to look at Bitcoin, I'm like, can anybody please tell me what is going on? Because less than, I think, 3% of it is being used as actual currency. To me, this is just a safe haven for people who have a lot of money in case of a villain. You see, they always put out these articles talking about which company and individual is putting in, oh, I don't know, buying $1 billion, $1.5 billion worth of Bitcoin. But do they ever tell you when and if they take it out? It could be that they put that money in there to get everybody excited about Bitcoin. People start buying Bitcoin instead of physical precious metals. Meanwhile, they're taking out enough that they're under the radar. I put in 1.5 billion every day. I want you guys to sneak out of there $100 million. It's such a slow amount that it has a little effect on the value of the Bitcoin. I mean, it is pretty volatile, but enough to where it still stays high and they're sneaking out their money. See, when I was talking about Elon Musk, I was like, look, this makes sense for me to see him pumping any cryptocurrencies. He absolutely wants to make sure you guys stay away from silver. His electric cars have to have it in there. He doesn't want to pay an arm and a leg for silver so his cars can function. So again, I know my crypto people get pissy about this. You guys think it's the be all end all. Right now, a lot of indications tell me that there could be problems in the future. Now, I've said this many times, I don't have a lot of faith in cryptocurrencies, but I've also said I'm smart enough to realize there is a window of opportunity in which you can make money and that we are in that window. But something tells me something big's coming up in July, and that's where I think the window ends. That's just my opinion and my opinion only. So if you guys want to diversify, you know what I mean? Have some here and there. Again, if you guys want to buy precious metals, you can use your cryptocurrencies with money metals to buy precious metals. You don't have to sell them, wait for the money to get in your bank, and then buy precious metals. Just use them to purchase precious metals with money metals if you're here in the United States. Sorry, the rest of you people, they can't help people outside of the United States. There's a bunch of different red tape they have to go through, unfortunately. Okay? So don't panic. I already warned you this is going to happen. I even told you if it goes down to $1 an ounce for both gold and silver, just buy as much as possible. We're seeing very, very little changes in the values of silver on the retail side. That's expected because they know what's really going on in the market. People are willing to pay those premiums and it's being supported because everybody is wising up to what's going on. Congratulations to a nice group of you have transferred over part of or all of your IRAs and 401ks to money metals. I think that's a safe bet. There's many reasons why. In case you haven't figured out, Joe Biden just recently came out and said they're about to pass the monster of all monster bills. Yeah, they're going to give you money. Yeah, and they want to start doing it regularly. I keep warning you, do not do this. I know a lot of us need the money, and some of you are like, who cares, man? I'll take the free money. You have no idea what that does to us. They are pumping so much money out there. They are purposely indebting generations to come, just putting them into debt just because. Talk about enslaving the people. But here's my question to you. I think it is 1 trillion US dollars can fill, I might be wrong, I'm pretty sure I'm right though, can fill a football stadium. So explain to me how we have, I don't know, what is it, 30 football stadiums worth of money we're told was printed? You notice how they use those words like, well, we're out there printing money nonstop. No, they're not printing money. They're lying to you. So when they say, hey, you owe for this debt because it was necessary, because we needed to help who? The poor. I love how they do, the minorities with the wealth gap. We wanted to make sure, you know what I mean? They use every victimhood that they've created. They use an excuse to go spend willy-nilly. They are purposely bankrupting this country and enslaving everybody in it. So my question to you is, well, look, first of all, I'm just finding out that the way our Constitution is written, especially at the state levels, these people are not to be passing laws without first asking for permission. Remember I was saying, does anybody aware of some of these laws they're passing? Did they ask you if it was okay? So I want the government to go ahead and account to us where every single physical paper dollar is, because there's no way in how you got $30 trillion that you've printed. It's all digital, which means it isn't real, and we are not responsible for that money. period. Okay, but let's get back over to Dinar because I know a lot of you have been waiting for me to explain this. Okay, I'm coming back here. So hang tight, you guys, with the silver. Trust me on this one. I know, don't get caught up in where the values are going up and down. That is fake. Hang tight. Have faith in it. Now let's get into the dinar because I told you guys yesterday there's some information that I'm aware of, information that I've shared with you guys in the past. And as we sit there in our little group of people, currency movers I'm talking about, we have been trying to rack our brains out about what's really going on with the dinar. And a theory came up, a theory from me that is pretty supported. If you have been a subscriber on my channel for a while, when Al-Kadhimi was voted into office and he started to put his cabinet together, one of the articles had pointed out that Iraq could not account for their money. Remember that? I said, I did a video of something like, where the hell is the money? Al-Kadhimi is like, where the hell is our money? And he wanted to immediately investigate the previous administration, Maliki. Remember, and Parliament got involved and they said, no, no, no. And I'm talking about the Iranian-backed politicians protecting Maliki, saying, you cannot investigate Maliki. Remember that? And they're like, okay. But they went ahead and started investigating who? His family. Remember that? Now, why this is important, because I remember this. Let me kind of run a hypothetical past you guys, and you'll kind of understand where I'm coming from. So let's say you are Al-Kadhimi. You just got voted as a prime minister of Iraq. Congratulations. Yay. You are ready to whip this country into shape. You're tired of all the corruption and you want to do something for the people. You are the right guy at the right time. You put in the right people and you start removing all the corrupt officials. Things are looking good. But you also came into office, and this, I'm just using tiny numbers. I'm using round numbers. This is example only in why I'm just oversimplifying things so you guys can follow along. So when he got into office, Al-Kadhimi was aware of how much dinars have been printed. For the sake of this exercise, we're just going to say 100,000 dinars to keep it simple. Let's say you also know the true value of the dinar. So 1 dinar is equal to $3 US. But due to Iraq's past, the currency has been devalued. So $1 US is now equal to what? 1,450 dinars. That's where we are, right? We have been speaking forever and a day about the revaluation or the reinstatement of the rate for the dinar. All right. So let's say you're ready to have that old rate reinstated, but then you find out, what the hell? Dun, dun, dun. Most all of your dinars are gone. Remember, I did the article. I talked about it, and that, as a matter of fact, in more than one video. The first one, when they announced that Iraq has no money. Now, again, it's a general statement. Obviously, they have dinars there, but the vast majority of the money could not be accounted for. So let's say you're you are Al-Kadhimi and you got 100,000 dinars you realize have been printed, and then you find out, wait a minute, there's only 5,000 dinars. So 95% of the dinars printed cannot be accounted for. Again, you guys, I'm just oversimplifying this and I'm using round numbers. You're like, what the hell is going on? You have an investigation, but the investigation shows you that the dinars have been stolen by the corrupt people, mostly the former administration. That's what happened. Remember that? You can't reinstate because it would only award the corrupt people who took the money. Can the missing dinars be accounted for? Yes. Remember, they weren't allowed to investigate Maliki. That came directly from Parliament. But they could investigate family members. And if you remember, they found out that the family members had a plethora of dinars. So, how can Iraq reinstate the old rate or even give a newer rate if they can't account for the whereabouts of their dinars? So, if you know there was 100,000 dinars that have been printed, but there's only 5,000 that you can account for, you can really screw your economy up if you reinstate the old rate. And you end up being responsible for exchanging 95% of the dinars that are outstanding. See what I'm saying? Stick with me, people. We're not done. So let's say you find out there's another 10,000 that has been destroyed for one reason or another. There was a flood, remember, that destroyed a lot of the dinars. So now out of your 100,000, you can only account for 15,000 dinars. Again, I'm oversimplifying. So 85% of your dinars you cannot account for. This country cannot do a reinstatement of the rate. They have they know that reinstating the rate, depending on who is holding on to the dinar, it could have a major effect on their overall economy. We know this. Iraq has to account for the bulk of their dinars before they can revalue or reinstate. Obviously, if Iraq cannot account for 85% of the dinars, they won't and can't reinstate the rate. The rate change is having a huge negative effect on the economy. They're trying to dig their ass out of the hole in the ground. Again, I'm oversimplifying things. But let's say these people that are out there doing investigations and they've been looking into the Maliki's family and other friends that are corrupt. And let's say that, hey, it's coming back to Al-Qademi. Look, we are going to be able, based on our investigation, to account for the bulk of the missing money. So out of the $100,000, let's say you could account for 94, 90%, 6% of the dinar. So it's not just out there in the hands of the public. It's not just out there in the corrupt people's hands. So do you see the difference between trying to reinstate a rate in which 85% of your currency is God knows where, and if they exchange that 85%, what kind of hit the economy would take, versus if all of a sudden they can find and account for 96% of the currency and only 4% of the currency is out there in speculators' hands and maybe some of it in the corrupt. They can afford to do a rate change on 4 or 6% of the dinars versus trying to do a rate change on 85% of the dinar. See what I'm saying? Okay, does that make sense? I showed you guys that indeed in the articles, these people cannot account for their damn money. I couldn't really say nothing because there are some other things going on, but it was in the public. I did talk about the article more than once. First, Al-Qademi first found out the money was missing. And then I think it was like 6 weeks, 8 weeks later, there was another article saying that they were investigating where the money went. And in there was a strong stance from Parliament saying that they cannot investigate Maliki, but they went ahead and investigated the family members. Remember that? Now, I'm not saying that all of the dinars is in the hands of the family members of Maliki. What I'm saying is right now, there are banks. We know the central banks all over. We know that some of these countries are holding on to large amounts of the IQD. That I can validate. I can tell you that's for reals. Okay, so let's say, again, just use round numbers. If we have 100,000 dinars and the banks are, I got 15%, my 5% that's sitting there plus 10,000 that's been destroyed to a flood. And if you add in what I know for sure the banks absolutely have, I'm somewhere around 72% of the money is accounted for and not sitting in the hands of speculators and not sitting in the hand of the corrupt people. Do you see the difference? If you go to reinstate, people are like, well, they've printed way too much money. There's no way they can afford that. Well, you're assuming that all that money is in the hands of speculators out in the public. I'm saying it's not. It's in the hands of most of the banks, although there is a bulk of it out there in the hands of corrupt people. As they start accounting for where the dinars are and they are doing that right now. You can understand the difference between trying to reinstate a rate where 85% of your currency might come back at you all at one time at a rate of $3 per dinar. That would kill an entire economy. Do you see what I'm saying? Again, I am just oversimplifying this to make my point. I'm trying to make you understand that if you remember the articles, and I covered them in videos, when Al-Kadhimi got in office, he was like, where the hell is our dinar? There was very little there in country. Okay? Just for the sake of this example, I'm explaining to you guys what is going on, and I'm oversimplifying things. The money was not there when Al-Kadhimi got in there. They did a quick investigation that's still going on, so it's not that quick. They were able to find out where some of this money went. They started investigating it further, and they started taking this money back. Okay? So when I tell you this is what's going on, you know, we're out there waiting for this, we're out there waiting for that. We're hearing, oh, 4 years for this, 4 years for that. I'm watching for something I know that's going on that's much bigger that is not being spoke about. Again, I had to talk and make sure I had some type of permission to talk about this. I could talk about it in vague and general terms, but that's the best I could do for you. It was public knowledge, and it is public information that when Al-Kadhimi got into office, most all the dinars cannot be accounted for. It also was public information. It was in the articles that Al-Kadhimi was investigating where the money went, and we found out that a bulk of it went to some family members and friends of Maliki. I can tell you that a good portion of this money is being recovered, but there's still a little too much out there, just a little too much out there for them to reinstate a rate if in fact that's what they're going to do. Okay? That is what's going on. That's what I was saying I needed to dig into a little bit more. Again, this is just speculation on my part based on the tidbits of information that we get when we speak to people who are currency movers. I hope that makes sense. You see, if they know they printed out X amount of dollars, but they can only account for a small amount of it, you can't do a rate change. Let's say that all 85% of the outstanding dinars is exchanged at around the same time. It would crash the economy. Let's say you can account for 94 or 96% of that $100,000. It's easy to reinstate the old rate because there's a small amount of dinar out there that you are going to have to account for as far as the rate change is concerned. I hope that makes sense to you. All right. So hang tight, people, because that's what's going on. We know that the money was missing. We know that Al-Kadhimi was investigating that. That's all public knowledge. We also know that they're doing what they can right now to recover that money, to bring it back and be accounted for. So anyways, I wanted to bring that up to you because I told you guys yesterday there was some stuff I knew, and some of it was going to be speculation on my part, but these things are public knowledge as far as the money not being there. So what is the other option? Well, they can't afford this. The other option is to say, look, this currency is no good. Discontinue it and print a new currency. Can't do that. It affects the public, and they can't afford to do that. But if you're being told by your investigators, hey, look, out of your $100,000, we know, based on our investigation, we can recoup maybe 94, 96% of the money. That's acceptable. Does that make sense? Hang tight another 20 years. Good Lord. Is that what you're saying, ET? Yikes. I don't think it's going to take another 20 years. I hope not. No, I don't think it's going to take that at all. As a matter of fact, as much as they've recouped, I don't want to do dates for sure, but I don't think it's going to take nothing like that. There's a part of me that thinks that that's why that announcement about 4 years came out. My guess is that they're thinking it's going to take about 4 years to recover the bulk of that. I'm thinking it's going to happen a little bit quicker than that, but who am I? We'll see. Okay, we'll see what happens. Which says a question: can Iraq go international without a rate on their currency? What do you mean international? They are international. I know, but I know there's people out there. Look, some of you guys have been waiting 12, 15 years, man. God bless you, seriously, because, I haven't been doing it anywhere near that long. And sometimes it makes me feel want to yank my hair out. But I've also learned a long time ago to stop listening to all the rumors out there, do my own investigating, do my own research, talk to as many of the key people as possible, and just try to stay grounded. Okay, that's what I'm doing. All right. So I don't think it's going to take as long as you people think. It really isn't. I know you guys are hearing all kinds of stories. Hey, when the budget passes. Hey, when this. Speaking of you guys, I know you guys heard the latest and the greatest news, and we are keeping an eye on there. In there, they're talking about, well, what are they doing? The meeting with the Shiite blocs ends with an agreement to pass the budget. Now, that's just what a source is throwing out there. We'll find out tomorrow. Tomorrow will get here quicker than you think. So is the Shiite political blocs agreeing during the meeting that last night, which is our night now, to mobilize their deputies to attend the session tomorrow, where they vote to pass the budget law. So if you are on the premise that the fiscal year of the budget is going to go back to the old school way when it starts on April the 1st, maybe then between now and tomorrow, if that's the case, I don't know how this is going to work, then maybe they do pass the budget by tomorrow and then implement it the day after. That would start the new fiscal year. It will start lining up with the other Arab nations that are inside the Arab Accounting Fund. I said long ago that used to be their fiscal period, but for now we were using, year in, beginning of the year, the year calendar. But is that possible? Anything is possible. I know there are other YouTubers out there who are talking about this. Well, one individual. So and I said that. I said, hey, you might be right. We'll see. Is it possible? Yeah, it's possible. But for me, I would have thought they would have needed way more time than what we're seeing now before they could just say, hey, ta-da, it's passed. My thought was they would have had to pass it and then waited and then implemented it. So we'll see. I know you guys are being told that this budget cannot be implemented without the rate change. That is false. Okay. Does that mean the rate change, could the rate change be in there? Of course it could. Okay. There's always that what if. Everything is speculations. Anybody talking about that they know, and you guys hear all these rumors. Again, I want to bring this up as well. You guys hear all these rumors. It's just rumors. Remember us talking about this? We're seeing a lot of these Arab nations that are part of the Arab accounting. Remember us saying this? They're trying to figure out how to take these lower value currencies and start building these countries up to help their currencies strengthen their value. And so, but they're doing all these agreements, which is good, to help build each other's economies. So that's what this meeting is with the Saudi Arabia. I told you that Trump had reached out to the Saudi family saying, do me a favor, help out Iraq. And they're like, gotcha. And it looks like it's still happening. Okay. So they're going to do what they can. They're going to see, look at this. A number of agreements will be signed in several areas. All right. This is, the security and economic issues to be discussed. So they are going to do what they can to start helping rebuild their economies. All right. So have faith there. It's still going. I know you guys have been told a lot of different stories, and I'm sorry. And I talk to you guys, a lot of you one-on-one, sometimes in group chats telling you, I'm sorry, I get that other people are saying these things. That's why it's important that you guys stay grounded. Don't get overly excited about good news. Don't get overly down about bad news. Stay grounded. Watch what they do. That's what's most important. So for now, I just wanted to share that because I told you guys first I wanted to talk to the people that I speak to and say, hey, how much of this can I talk about? Since it's public knowledge that a lot of the money was missing and that Al-Qaeda is investigating it, there was nothing wrong with that. And the rest is just, I'm allowed to say that I'm speculating on it with some of the truth in there. I'm just not telling you guys a full story, okay? Question: how long would it take for international banks to reinstate out of country? What do you mean by out of country? There is no out of country or in of country, okay? When they redo the rate, it's all at the same time. I know you guys heard stories, okay? But let me just kind of, again, bring you back to just a little bit of common sense here. Let me ask you this. Let's say, for the sake of it, there was a rumor out there in YouTube land that in country, inside Iraq, they are exchanging the dinars, $1 for $1. That is the rumor, right? Does that make sense to you? Does it really? Because do you understand what kind of black market scam would be going on? You would have people who are buying the currency out of country cheap as hell, turn around, smuggling it in to people who live in Iraq to go exchange it a dollar for dollar, take a percentage of the money, bring it back out to the people who are out of country, who would then take that money, go buy more dinar, come back in. Do you see what I'm saying? That's why this story about, oh, hey, this is in country or this rate's out of country. No, when a rate changes, it's all done at the same time, just to keep that type of criminality from happening. I hope that makes sense. If it was the other way around, let's say it's out of country, there's one for one. Well, then what's to keep the people from buying dinars in country, bringing them out, exchanging them, and getting rich off of it? Okay. So I just wanted to share that with you because I know that rumor is going around that is false. There is no, oh, right now in country, this is happening. My phone would have blown up from people within Iraq to tell me, hey, Pimpy, guess what? It's happening. They're not. When I asked them about it, they just laughed. Okay. They're like, no. That's not happening. Of course, I felt embarrassed saying it because just common sense tells me there would be a black market going on like we've never seen before. But even so, just to be on the safe side, I wanted to double check. Okay. So we will keep an eye on it. We will see what happens. Like I said, don't get overly excited about good news. Don't get overly down about bad news. For me, I'm keeping an eye on the gold and silver market. As I said before, don't be surprised if they start driving the value down big time. And sure enough, they're trying to do it. They're trying to cover their asses. They shorted silver, and they're trying to cover it. The bigger question and the more exciting thing is this. What happens when the banks get to a point where their shorts are covered? Then what happens to the silver? Will they continue to try to manipulate the market, or are they at a point now that they know better and they don't dare and they just let the value of silver run up? And I think that's where we're heading. Okay, that's just my opinion. Anyways, you guys, as usual, I appreciate you guys taking the time to chime on in and follow me and listen to what's going on. I know you guys got other options, but I surely do appreciate it when you swing by. I hope this answers a lot of your questions and concerns. And just look, a lot of these, we're just in for the ride. Just pay attention. There's a lot happening right now around the world. We are all waiting for something big to click everything into place. And I think it's coming up. There's no doubt that 2021 is the year for sure of some definitely exciting times in more than more ways. All right, guys, that's it for now. You guys have a great evening. Again, I appreciate it. Love y'all. And I'm out.